Welcome to the first International Stretto Piano Festival. We are so excited that you are joining us for this premier event celebrating pianos that have narrower than conventional keys. My name is Hannah Ryman, and on behalf of Rhonda Boyle and Carol Leone, my esteemed collaborators, I want to thank you for joining us and for watching and listening to as many artists as you can over the next 9 days. These videos will always be up, so even if you don't catch the premiere broadcast, you can buy a ticket and watch the concert later. I have a few important announcements to make. First of all, that I have been working with Steinway & Sons in New York City and have gently persuaded them to introduce these pianos to the general public by offering them on custom order for grand pianos, newly built grand pianos with smaller keys, as well as retrofits of existing grand pianos made by Steinway. So just contact me, Hannah Ryman, and I can put you in touch directly with the right parties at Steinway & Sons if you're interested in having a piano with narrower keys. There are also pianos retrofitted by DS Standard and David Steinbuehler, and they can also help you with pianos of other makes. You can find information on the Stretto Piano Festival Facebook page, on the PASC website and Facebook page. Rhonda and Carol can tell you more about that. Please watch their messages that follow this video, this portion of the video. So without further ado, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us to celebrate these pianos, and I hope that we'll see you in the future for many more international Stretto piano festivals.
Welcome to the first International Stretto Piano Festival. I'm Carol Leone, Professor and Chair of Piano at SMU Meadows School of the Arts. I'm here in my home studio in Dallas. The International Stretto Piano Festival is not about a piano keyboard. It's about music making. The technology of narrower piano keys opens up possibilities for artists in a new and innovative way. It makes these festival performances special because the technology enables performers in new ways. Pianists with smaller handspans, especially women, are now able to reach the equivalent of those with large handspans. Our capability is expanded and a new class of artists is emerging. In addition, we're able to play repertoire that we were not able to or avoided in the past. I want to show you the keyboard that is in my Steinway. It's called a DS keyboard. It's made by David Steinbuehler. Its primary feature, of course, is that the keys are narrower. While an octave on the modern conventional keyboard is 6.5 inches wide, the octave on my DS keyboard is 1 full inch narrower, or 5.5 inches wide. For me, as a pianist with a small handspan, this keyboard makes a significant difference in the quality and ease of my playing major romantic repertoire. By shrinking the keyboard to a size that is more suitable to my handspan, I'm able to more closely experience the physical capabilities that composers possessed when creating these works which historically require larger hands. While on the conventional keyboard, I can just span 9 keys, on this keyboard, I can span 11. Also, the span between 2 and 5 on my hand is narrow, and therefore there are certain chords that are challenging for me to play. Here's one, for instance. You can see that I'm just reaching that on my 5.5 keyboard. It's not a chord that I can reach at all on the conventional keyboard. So in that case, I would be leaving out the bottom note. and or perhaps redistributing, and not being able to voice things properly, for instance. So this is my 5.5 keyboard. Very thankful for David Steinbuehler and for creating this keyboard for me. To say that narrow or stretto keyboards have changed my musical life is really an understatement. The joy of practicing and performing masterpieces for the piano with ease while keeping my hands safe from injury is truly a very special privilege that I'm very grateful for. Please join us for the International Stretto Piano Festival, May 15th through the 23rd, 2021. It's about narrow keys, broad minds, no boundaries.
Hello, my name is Rhonda Boyle. I live in Melbourne, Australia. Although I learnt to play the piano as a child, I always knew that my hands were way too small for me to ever consider becoming a serious performer. I pursued a career in other areas. But I did return to piano lessons in 1999 with one of Melbourne's top teachers, Robert Chamberlain. This is my piano with its smaller 5.5-inch octave, known as the DS 5.5 size. DS stands for Donaldson Steinbuehler. David Steinbuehler and Chris Donaldson were the pioneers of narrow-key acoustic keyboards designed to be retrofitted into grand and upright pianos. These are manufactured in Pennsylvania, and the business has been converted to a non-profit foundation, the DS Standard Foundation. Professor Carol Leone has been and continues to be an outstanding leader in raising awareness of the importance of alternatively sized keyboards. Of course, narrow keys do not mean an inferior or softer sound. We have simply removed the conventional keyboard in action from my grand and replaced it with the DS 5.5 keyboard. We can swap them back in a few minutes. The strings and soundboard are unaffected, so I have the original piano but with narrower keys. I discovered Steinbuehler keyboards by accident at the start of 2007 while searching online for information about technique for small-handed pianists. I immediately knew that I had to try these keyboards, but there were none outside North America at the time. David, with his wife Linda, actually travelled to Australia late in 2008 and took the necessary measurements from my piano so he could make me a new DS 5.5 keyboard. It was delivered in April 2009. It turned out that I was the first pianist outside North America to acquire a DS keyboard. It's impossible to exaggerate the difference it makes when you play a keyboard that better fits your hands. It's not just about reaching the notes in large chords or playing ninths or tenths, but it transforms practically all aspects of your playing. When you first try repertoire that you always struggled with, you immediately appreciate all the wasted time and effort, the endless and often futile practice when you are trying to play a keyboard that was simply too large for your hands. You suddenly discover that the mental effort involved in just getting the notes disappears, and your brain is freed up to think about the music. Soon after I started playing my new keyboard, my husband noticed a significant change, especially the far greater depth of sound and range of dynamics in my playing. This is the result of the greater power available from a more compact hand. He also remarked on my greater confidence, speed and accuracy. For me, there was certainly less pain and discomfort. I spent less time deciding which notes to omit, and there had been many, and modifying fingering. Essentially, when passages and chords are comfortably under the hand, there is much less leaping about on the keyboard, so tonal and rhythmic control improves. Learning time for new repertoire is much reduced. One of the first pieces I tackled, which I'd always wanted to play on my new keyboard, was the Opus 44 Polonaise of Chopin, F sharp minor. I'd never been able to attempt that previously. Today's conventional keyboard has a 6.5-inch octave, so the DS 5.5 size has an octave that is 1 inch narrower. Until around the 1880s, most pianos had narrow keyboards. The 6.5-inch octave became standardised by the major manufacturers who focused on an instrument that suited male virtuosos, such as Liszt, who performed in large concert halls. Over the last decade, I've done quite a bit of research into hand size and piano playing, and I must acknowledge the major contribution of my co-authors, Sydney teacher Erica Booker and my husband Robin Boyle. The peer-reviewed research indicates that around 80% of adult women and 25% adult men have handspans that are too small for today's 6.5-inch octave keyboard. And of course that does not cover children who have to learn on a large keyboard designed for adult men. When I say too small, I mean the keyboard size limits a pianist's ability to play any advanced repertoire they might choose to the best of their musical potential and without suffering pain or risking injury. On average, women's handspans are around 1 inch smaller than those of men, which means that the experience of playing a 5.5-inch octave for women is equivalent to the 6.5-inch octave for men. Of course, there is a small proportion of women with large hands within the average male range, so for them the large keyboard suits them fine. A growing network of pianists, teachers and health professionals around the world who play or advocate for the widespread availability of narrower keys is now known as PASK, Pianists for Alternatively Sized Keyboards. I would encourage you to connect with the PASK network to learn more and interact with others and find out how playing the right keyboard can be a life-changing experience. Check out the PASK website to find out where you can try these keyboards. You may be surprised to know it's very quick and easy to adapt to a different size, and you can readily swap between sizes. And if you play a smaller keyboard regularly, as I do, you will still be able to play the large keyboard when you need to, and will most likely play it better as a result of developing a more relaxed technique. Finally, I'd like to encourage you to watch many of the fine pianists participating in this festival. I'm thrilled to be working with Carol and Hannah in bringing these performances to pianists and music lovers around the world. Thank you.